from other parts of the world, replace them with people who existed on the territory, and then force the old people out of the people who live there out of the country.
یعنی دو تا آوارگی اتفاق افتاد.
So there have been two simultaneous displacements.
مردم بومی رو آواره کردن.
The indigenous people were forced out and displaced.
و عده‌ای رو پراکنده از سایر نقاط دنیا آوردن آواره کردن دوباره یک کشور درست کردن.
A group of other people scattered around the globe were gathered and
کارهای عجیب تاریخه.
It's kind of one of those rare incidences
بعضی
in
قدرت‌ها برای
history
منافعشون این کارو
that
کردن.
some powers decided to do for their own
خب
interests.
از روزی که این رژیم اومده دائما کشتار و آوارگی و تجاوز و جنگ و تهدید هست.
Look at the consequences. Ever since it came into being, this regime, there's been nothing more than wars, aggression, displacement, and usurpation.
اصلا کار این رژیم جنگیدنه.
It seems this is what this regime is out there to do.
تهدید کردن.
To fight wars, to threaten.
اگر این کارا رو نکنه از بین خواهد
رفت. As if they stop doing that, they'll get
اصلا
destroyed
مأموریتش
themselves.
همین کاره.
It seems that that was their mission to start with.
ریشه مشکل اینه.
That's the problem.
علت دوم این
problem.
هستش که هیچ کدوم از این راه حل‌ها به حق تعیین سرنوشت ملت فلسطین توجه نکرد.
The second reason is that none of those peace plans offered so far have given attention to the right to self-determination of the Palestinians.
اگر یه مردمی رو از خونشون بیرون کنن حقوق اون مردم که از بین نمیره.
If a group of people are forced out of their country, that doesn't mean their rights are gone.
حالا 60 سال گذشت.
Even with the passage of 60 years,
آیا حق آوارگان از بین رفت؟
can you ignore the rights of those
چطور
displaced?
میشه کسانی از سرزمین‌های دور بیان توی کشوری حق تصمیم گیری داشته باشن مردم بومی اون سرزمین حق تصمیم گیری نداشته باشن؟
How is it possible for people to arrive from far-off lands and have the right to self-determination, whereas the indigenous people of the territory are denied that
باید این
right?
دو تا مسئله رو حل کنیم.
We have to really resolve these two
وقت
issues.
مسئله حل خواهد شد.
But then the problem will be resolved.
ولی حل نمیشه.
Otherwise, it won't.
شما ببینید یه دولتی با رأی مردم سر کار اومد به نام حماس.
Look at a government that has come to power through the vote of the people called Hamas.
او رو محاصره اقتصادی کرد.
It was economically besieged.
محاصره دارویی.
No medicine getting in.
هر روز حمله میکنن.
Attacks carried out every day on them.
چطور میخوام مسئله رو حل کنن؟
How exactly are they to resolve the
مگر اینکه به اون
situation?
دو تا علت توجه کنن.
Unless they pay attention to those two
این
causes.
رژیم صهیونیستی شانس دوام نداره در منطقه ما.
This Zionist regime does not have a chance of remaining in the region
با ریشه های منطقه ارتباط برقرار نمیکنه.
because it has not established roots with the region.
مثل یه موجود اضافی است که اومده تو بدن انسان.
It's like an alien creature that's come into your body.
فرض کنید یه فلز اضافی یه میخی بره تو تن انسان.
Imagine an extra piece of metal like a pin going into your body.
بدن اینو نمیپذیره.
Your body will reject
تا
it.
زمانی که این میخ تو بدن هست سیستم بدن مختل.
As long as the nail is in your body just doesn't function.
تا زمانی که این میخ خارج نشه درمان انجام نمیشه.
And as long as it's not removed, you won't have a cure.
بالاخره نمیشه از جاهای دیگه پاشن بیان اونجا سرزمین مردم رو اشغال کنن، حکومت درست کنن، مردم بومی رو هم بکشن.
You just can't bring others from elsewhere, kill the rights of the indigenous people, and force yourself on place.
ارتباط ما با بدنه مردم فلسطین خیلی وسیعه.
Our links and ties with the body of the Palestinian people is very strong.
هیچ کدوم از مردم فلسطین یعنی مردم فلسطین اون نظری رو که شما گفتید بعضیا میگن قبول ندارن.
None of the people in Palestine agree with what you just said.
همین الان اگر دوباره انتخابات بشه همین دولت حماس با چند برابر رأی میاره.
If there were to be elections right now today, the Hamas will get re-elected even with more votes than it got last time.
So do you think Israel should be eliminated?
ما فکر میکنیم باید مردم انتخاب بکنن.
We believe that people have to decide and
باید حق
choose
تعیین سرنوشت به مردم فلسطین داده بشه.
their own fate, the right to
اگر اونا
self-determination.
خواستن صهیونیستا رو میمونن، نخواستن میرن.
If they like to keep the Zionists, they can stay. If not, they have to leave.
شما فکر میکنید مردم چی میخوان؟
What do you think the people there want?
You would support a two-state solution if they do?
ما که مردم فلسطین در هر جا مردم هر تصمیمی بگیرن ما بهش احترام میذاریم.
Wherever people decide, we will respect it.
اتفاقا پیشنهاد ما همینه، میگیم اجازه بدید مردم فلسطین تصمیم بگیره.
I mean, it's very much in correspondence with our proposal to allow Palestinian people to decide
یک رفراندوم آزاد.
through free referendums.
چند سال ما این پیشنهاد رو میدیم.
We've been saying this for several years as a
ولی
proposal.
اونایی که فریاد دموکراسی سر میدن حاضر نیستن دموکراسی رو برای مردم فلسطین هم بپذیرن.
But those who use democracy as a pretext everywhere else are not and don't think the Palestinians need democracy.
Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Right now, we're joined on the phone by the Iranian American activist Kourosh Shemirani from Queer Iran Alliance. He's published widely on the subject of how international gay rights advocacy about Iran can face the danger of slipping into pro-war propaganda. Kourosh, welcome to Democracy Now! Your overall response to the Iranian president's comments on the issue of the hanging of the young gay teens to Israel and Palestine.
Thank you, Amy. Well, it seems like this year President Ahmadinejad is trying to stress more and more. He's trying to be more diplomatic in what he's been saying in the past few years about the execution of the execution of the supposed gay teenagers. That has not really been proven. There's been a big debate about that from the human rights organizations about whether they were hung because they were gay. So even bringing that up with him, I think, is a little tricky. And he was able to dismiss it, and I think the government has been able to dismiss that accusation easily because the case itself was never brought to light and is not the facts that are not known. And but what he basically said that was quite interesting is that he said that homosexuality or sodomy is not punishable by death in Iran, which is of course not true. There is that law in Iran, and in another sense, it is true because there's so many different laws on the books that negate this one law that you can say that that doesn't exist on the books. I mean, the legal system in Iran is so complicated that you can have a law that says one thing and many laws are negated, and that's the case with sodomy. So in a way, him being forced to say that the law doesn't exist is a continuation of him trying to sort of cover for himself. In the Larry King interview the day before, 2 days ago, he basically said that the government does not go into people's private lives and people's private homes is their own place. We do not intervene in what they do with their own home, which is again not true. So he's trying to sort of put a nicer face on the various policies and the various things that happen to Iranians in general, gay Iranians in particular. And at this point, I'm not really sure where it's going. He's basically playing cat and mouse with the media as they're asking about these questions. Before coming, he had a very long interview with an official Iranian news agency, Press TV, about the question of Palestine and Israel. And he has been stressing the fact that the idea that the Iranian government is not against Israeli people, they're just against Zionism. And this has become a very big debate in Iran about whether or not Iranians and Iranian president should say they were friends with Israeli people, and he stood by that. So he's changed his rhetoric on that to a large extent. And this year he's getting a lot more play with the way he's talking about Israel. I think he has said that this point that he's made about the Palestinian people having the right to choose their own destiny and in a referendum choosing whether they want to live in a Zionist regime. He said this before. It's just the U.S. media has not reflected it until this year.
Kourosh Shemirani, we're going to have to leave it there. I want to thank you for being with us, and that does it for our show. Democracy Now! Is produced by Mike Berkshire, for producer and Mate. This weekend, I'll be in Baltimore all weekend. Today at 3:30 at Johns Hopkins University, Sheldon Hall. At 7 o'clock, I'll be at Morgan State University Student Center Theater. Tomorrow at 1, I'll be at the Literary Salon at Mount Vernon Place, 600 North Charles Street at the Baltimore Book Festival. Special thanks to Enrique Gallegos. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Thanks for joining us.